All right. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is basically a recap of the PowerPoint presentation regarding our combining our two organizations into one. This presentation was given at convention, and one of the things we're also doing is taking the conversation today, translating it. The PowerPoints have already been translated into Spanish. So what is said about the PowerPoints will be translated into Spanish, and all of that posted on our website. Spanish-speaking population will have an opportunity to interact as well. So I'm excited. We're thinking global, and we have some resources on staff now, meaning two stellar people who can translate things into Spanish, and that's a great boost to our staff. So before we get going, I always like to pray in. Let's take a breath. Breathing is so good, and I'm grateful that the spirit within me breathes my body, and I don't even have to think about it. And in the same way, all good things come to us. And ours is just to be aware, to acknowledge, to cooperate with spirit, and to release what's no longer serving us, so that we are free to move about this world and to have our human experiences and to grow in our understanding and our capacity to unconditionally love and to share that with one another and to share it beyond our boundaries into the world where so many people are hungry to understand what we understand and to allow it to work in their lives, to transform their lives. So that's what we're here to do, to share unity with the world in greater and deeper ways. Thank you, God, for this meeting. And so it is. Amen. All right. This year's convention was awesome in so many respects, and the theme was actually focusing forward, and we do that by putting ourselves in the future and then back casting, looking back and say, what do we need to be creating now to be where we want to be? So we chose the year 2030, and that was kind of the theme of a convention. Well, what is emerging, and this has been around for a long time, is the concept of what if we had unity in unity? What if that was a reality, that we came together in more efficient ways, collaborative ways, where we combined our resources, and rather than being fragmented segments of unity, where we're all in relationship with each other and positive relationships with each other, what if we could really create more synergy by forming one unity? So we had a button. Board members and core team members, and I'll explain what core team is in a moment, have this button. And it was meant to determine who you could ask if you had questions about this presentation. So the core team is made up of representatives of Unity Worldwide Ministries and Board of Trustees and Unity World Headquarters and the Board of Directors for Unity Headquarters. And the two boards had a joint board meeting and decided that this is the optimum representation and number of people to come together on a weekly basis to begin exploring what our priorities are, what are our non-negotiables, what do we really envision. And when I say non-negotiables, I don't mean that from a stubborn consciousness point of view. I mean it, what are some of the things that we cherish and will continue to hold sacred to our movement. And we want to make sure whatever we create embodies that and is reflective of it. The person at the bottom of the slide right here, Jennifer Peak, owns Peak Advisory Group. Jennifer is a mergers and acquisition specialist. She's had lots of experience, and she's also a certified public accountant background. So she can help us ask the questions that it would never occur to us to ask, or to see perspectives of how to manage this transition so that everyone has an opportunity to weigh in on it, to share ideas, to ask questions, and that we keep moving forward and that we're not just stuck in some little conversational eddy going around and around with the same current. So these people here are the ones who are committed to meeting every Wednesday afternoon. Sharon is our new Board of Trustees chair, and Richard is our former chair. He's chair emeritus, and he's still on our Board of Trustees for UWM. And for that reason, for the sake of continuity, because this work is so involved, our board voted to keep Richard on the core team. So rather than inviting the next vice chair in and the next, because we have a one-year rotation of leadership on the UWM Board of Trustees. Embracing our roots, our tradition is to be progressive. And so here we are having a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and Charles Fillmore, I am convinced, would have loved this and would have been all over it. And in a way, he is. So we are being progressive in our thinking about what is ours to do. We are not, as organizations, about maintaining the status quo and just trying to stabilize so that we don't lose ground. We're thinking into the generations to come, into the issues of our world, what is really called for in terms of a spiritually guiding presence, and how do we deliver our unity message in ways that are relevant, that people are able to receive and to relate to in a positive fashion. How can they have a good experience of unity when they come across the brand unity? So that's what we are about in a big contextual way. So this, as I mentioned earlier, this idea of creating one unity is not new. There was a future search activity in the year 2000. It emerged at that point. We decided it would be great if people who search for us on the web didn't find two Unity websites that seemed so confusing. Could we have just a joint website with portals into the various functions of the Unity organization? We explored integration in the year 2011. And this, I just have to say, because I find this so amazing to me how Spirit works. In the year 2011, James Trapp was the CEO. Charlotte Shelton was the CEO for Unity World Headquarters. Marilyn Muehlbach and Pat Williamson, both former chairs of Unity Worldwide Board of Trustees, were part of the integration. I was part of that integration team because I was a vice chair moving into the position of chair. And in the room was also Jim Lee and David MacArthur. But Jim Blake, who was then an employee for Unity World Headquarters in technology, facilitated the meeting, which means he did not participate with ideas and discussions, but he captured it all. So here we are today after that exploration, which it ended for lots of reasons. The economic downturn, we weren't ready to do this, even though we wanted to. So here we are today with Marilyn Muehlbach, who's now chair of Unity World Headquarters. And here I sit, which I didn't anticipate in 2011 would ever be the case. And here is Jim in the room as CEO for Unity World Headquarters. So there's three of us who were part of that joint exploration of 2011. In 2017, just last year, we successfully launched a joint outreach project, which is guided a lot by Mark Fuss's efforts and the literature that's coming from Unity World Headquarters that is so helpful to people who are in a healing crisis or any kind of personal crisis of some kind or a challenge. And it's distributed through our ministries. And so we provide the orientation training for any ministry who wants to become a distribution point for getting the Unity literature into the hands of people that can be served by it. We moved back, we being UWM, moved back to Unity Village last year in August, the week of the total solar eclipse and the day of Charles Fillmore's birthday, which is very auspicious, I think, but unplanned. There again, it just serendipitously showed up. So I will take that as a thumbs up. Okay, the most recent news, and this is recent since our convention, we are integrating our marketing departments and to a large extent communications. At the time of convention, we had our media point person, who is Jackie Lunati, Reverend Jackie Lunati, who moved over to UWH staff to help with social media and a lot of other efforts around that. We continued to employ Laura Carl, our most talented graphic artist, and Andrew Wagner, who was our videographer at convention. You've seen him running around taking all these videos for us. And what we have done as of last week is Laura and Andy are also moving into UWH's ranks as employees, and UWM will contract any of its media needs through UWH, which means all of our Unity Worldwide Media stuff will still be populated by the same team, but this is kind of a beta test, and that's my words, for seeing how we can come together, communicate, cooperate, prioritize, and begin thinking from the perspective of one unity, and what do we need to do in order to come from that integrated perspective in all decisions that we've made. Now, regarding marketing, I'm going to say this also, and it gives me great pleasure to say we have hired Roxanne Buckle, a Canadian. She is our executive director of marketing. She is a Unity minister, and she brings such a wealth of understanding about how we can market the One Unity, what we need to do, how we need to keep that at the forefront of our consciousness, and how everybody can begin to shift their perspective to seeing that when we say unity, we're talking about a brand, and I'm not talking about our little logo. I'm talking about the end user. What are they experiencing, and is it consistent across the board? That is our goal. We want to make it that way. So when people say unity, they don't say, what's that? They know what it is. When somebody says tide, they know what tide is. Unity can be that way also. So I'm very excited about the road we're traveling and what I see emerging. Thank you, God. Why now? Well, because the world is different. Leadership is different. We have new energy everywhere. Our circumstances are different. The face of ministry is changing. How we deliver unity in the future needs to be envisioned now, and our decisions need to come from that perspective. The world has 24/7 connection. Church can be sitting in Starbucks with a cup of coffee and a book off the shelf, and we know that this is the changing world. So where are we, and what do we need to do? Why now? Because you've heard this over and over, more than ever, the world needs us, because violence seems to be escalating, although some reports say it's declining. No doubt about it, the world is in a chaos, and certainly there is a lack of unity in its purest sense of the word in our world and in the country, in the U.S. in particular. Can we just imagine a world powerfully transformed by advancing the global movement of spiritual awakening and transformation, and doing that through unity? And what this statement is a combination of UWM's vision and mission statement. And UWH, Unity World Headquarters, has also adopted it. So this is our umbrella statement of what is our vision. Can we just imagine this? And we are the ones that are called at this time to make this so. It's not just an imagined reality. It's something we will create more effectively than we've ever done in the past through the creation of One Unity. So where are we in the process? Well, we've had 2 joint board meetings, and I'm sure we'll have more. We have weekly core team meetings for about an hour. Sometimes they run a little more if we really hit on something that energizes the group. Both boards unanimously support the creation of One Unity. What does that look like? We don't know. We still have conversations at the core team meeting about how to create this. And we had one just yesterday where we began to conceptualize what are the things we want the new organization to have, and what are some possible frameworks for creating it. So we have a lot of research to do about how other nonprofits do what they do, how other denominations maybe do what they do. And this very last sentence here is probably the most important and the most essential. And it's simply this: there are no sacred cows. So if we're going to do this, we're going to do it in service to the divine presence, which I call God. I don't have a problem using the word God, which is in service to God through the work of unity. All of our work as a unity ambassador, a unity person, a unity teacher, minister, leader, committed person. It's a path for a positive way to live in spiritual communion with yourself and with God. So that's the most important thing. And whatever it takes to create this is number one. So that means nothing's a given. Nothing is a given. So where we are now, we're exploring the creation of one new organizations. And as I said, we're researching various for cause, which is a more current term for a nonprofit, because what nonprofit does not want to have a profit? You know, with a profit, you can do more of your nonprofit business, your for cause business. So for cause and for profit corporate structures, because a certain aspect of UWH is wired that way. Think of the retreat center, lots of things. So UWM and UWH intends to regenerate into new One Unity. And Jim Blake brought the word regenerate into this statement because it's a good Charles Fillmore statement. And we all said, yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to regenerate. And we're sharing this with you because we, as leaders, we have a commitment to transparency, where it's going to involve moving into the unknown and intentionally, consciously creating chaos so that a new order can emerge. As someone once said, and another group I belong to outside of Unity, they said sometimes you have to break it to make it. Break it to make it anew. So to do that consciously is taking great courage, and it's going to be a learning process. And it's not going to be without its aspect of anxiety sometimes, grieving sometimes, but I hope a lot of joy and celebration in what we see emerging. So we're asking you to hold this in conscious creation and adopt it as our collective vision. For in truth, we are one unity. We're asking for your commitment to this concept, your involvement, such as these dialogue calls, but there will be focus groups. This is going to be the #1 thing shared at every regional conference. Opportunities to have our constituents ask questions and give their perspective. We're asking for your support as we move through this. Who are our stakeholders? Well, ministers, LUTs, and ministries, donors to both organizations, as I mentioned, regions. These are our stakeholders. Not everyone will be impacted to the degree that others may be impacted. Certainly the employees of UWH and UWM will be impacted, and I'm not excluded from that. No one's excluded from that. The silent Unity callers, Daily Word, and Unity magazine subscribers, you can see the list here. AG&T, Association for Global New Thought. Several years ago, religious science and science of mind came together and created Centers for Spiritual Living. They have walked this path. What was easy for them is they were both like organizations. They were both membership driven. For us, UWM is membership and UWH is not. Therefore, we have some unique challenges. But we are committed to working them through. We have Unity authors, certainly Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute students and teachers are all interested. Our Unity Urban Ministry School, IMU, our International Ministry Program, International Silent Unity and Daily Word, our international community is very much interested in this. And it is very much in our consciousness as we create this one unity of what needs to happen. How do we need to create this so that our internationals are also supported and connected? And then last but not least, the town of Lee's Summit, in which Unity Village is nestled in. It's at the heart of it. Well, I won't say the heart, but the fringe of it, between Kansas City and Lee's Summit. And of course, Unity is its own municipality. So it's very interesting. Everyone is watching. Feedback opportunities. Convention was one. Our annual summit in 2019 will be in Houston, Texas. And at that time, it'll be a great time for focus groups and discussions, and we'll be further down the line and designing what it is we hope to create. So that's going to be a very exciting meeting. Please mark your calendars for that. We have our monthly dialogue calls. This is the first. The second one will be August the 2nd, and they're always at 2 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. If that turns out to be grossly inconvenient for most people, then we can revisit that. All calls are archived on our website. So if you miss it, you can go back and hear it. As I mentioned before, this call will be translated to Spanish and also posted on our website, and it's our goal to do this with all calls in the future. We have a dedicated email just for this specific work. So if you have an idea, you have a concern, something you want to share, or just an encouragement, keep up the good work. So coreteam@unity.org. We want to hear from you. This is how you can be involved in sports. Stay informed and share your ideas. I encourage you to focus on solutions that have the one Unity perspective and consider how others will be impacted. If you don't know something, ask the core team, email us, ask us. Please try not to make assumptions about what you think is going on, because we are in this process together. Share what you think we need to be aware of that perhaps we're not seeing, a blind spot here or there, because we are listening. And dialogue with the core team whenever you see us, whenever you have an opportunity, and attend these meetings. Now, I want to say this about the core team. We are simply putting together the best of our ideas and working with some outside support and expertise in order to create a model. the core team is not doing this alone, is not the all-seeing power that's going to tell you how it's going to be. We are doing this in service to all of Unity, and your participation is so important. Our target is to have this proposal presented to the Unity Worldwide Membership Convention Body in June of 2019. And that's going to be in Overland Park at the Marriott. So it'll be very close to headquarters here at home. Once the membership approves the plan, and I am assuming that this will be approved because I think so many people have held this dream for so long, and we will be working together all along the way so that by the time this proposal is presented next year, that's an ambitious thing, I think, but we're committed to making progress and to doing it, that we will already know what it is. And that by the year 2020, we'll be doing a happy dance on the Bridge of Faith. We will be celebrating the actual implementation of this plan in its totality, and we will be one Unity. Anyone have any questions, any comments?
Yeah, we've all been thinking about this for ages, obviously. And it's obviously a huge undertaking also, so I commend you on wading into this. Also would like to note how you have added LUTs to the mix, which did not happen, which was kind of a sore point at convention. I would suggest when you take this out to the region, the PowerPoint, that you spell out licensed Unity teachers.
Okay.
Unity World Headquarters is an organization that's about 10 times financially larger than Unity Worldwide Ministries. Is there thought about actually combining the finances here, or is it just combining the services?
It has to be both, and I'm going to ask Bruce to weigh in on that question.
Well, thank you for that opportunity. Rich, it's a question that we definitely have to have a discussion about, but I would think that the most productive solution would be an organization where all of the areas of responsibility that make sense to be more centralized would be happening, and that would include finance, it would include accounting, it would include development, likely would include marketing, just lots of support, wherever we have support services. And then exactly where all of the current named entities like Daily Word, Silent Unity, events, Unity World or member services, Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute, how that's going to be structured, it's just not totally clear yet. But ultimately, what I would vision, and I'm one voice, is that we create a structure where all the finances go to one entity who has the responsibility to allocate assets to the current priorities of the organization. And so there might be, it might be like a lot of subsidiaries working for this one entity that holds all the revenue. And that it's going to be that board, and this again, this is just Bruce talking. That board would have a responsibility to discern where to allocate the resources to deliver the brand promise that Unity's giving all of its end users. I don't know that helped, but I think we will end up with one centralized receipts area and actually one centralized distribution or payables area.
Yes, thank you. And there is an advantage to that from the aspect of fundraising, because our donors just want to give to Unity. And we've already experienced this. We have some people donating to us thinking they're giving to Silent Unity. And we have other people that donate to Unity World headquarters thinking they're giving to the ministerial school. And it's confusing to people outside of this organization. And let's face it, it's confusing to a great many people within this organization as to who does what. What is unity? So if we could get to this place where we can land financially, as Bruce described, I think it would be for the betterment of the organization. And as he said, and I will say again, we're not there yet, and we haven't really delved into this discussion yet on the core team, but I do believe that it is an intention we hold. And Carolyn, I'm going to ask if you want to speak to this, because Carolyn's on the board for Unity World Headquarters and is part of the core team.
My understanding is that, and this is something for us to continue to work on and figure out all the logistics and the legalities and all of that, but my understanding is that eventually we would have some semblance, what Bruce was talking about, as one organization. What that financially looks like, as far as who, you know, all of the ins and outs and how that's possible, is still to be determined. But there's a, you know, that's the vision.
Yeah, Donna, I just wanted to add, because of one comment you made, Richard, the village is very financially viable. We have shared financials, because you knew that was a question that would come up from the field, but they are very financially viable. So that's what's different than the last time. Last time, both of us are kind of shaky. This time, we're both in a good financial position. That's what makes this whole thing feasible.
Donna, this is Eileen. I was unable to attend the convention and have been curious about the progress of the process of merging the two entities together. And so this was a good chance for me to get caught up on what's on your minds and where things are going. So thank you very much for providing this opportunity.
You're welcome. It's my joy, truly is. Because I don't want to operate in a vacuum ever. You know, one of my favorite quotes was from Chief Seattle, "There go my people and I must follow, for I am their leader." And I've learned a lot from that quote. So I want to be part of something we create that we've long held in our hearts, that is so important to the future of humanity, not just the future of unity.
One of the questions I had, which may or may not play into this mix, but was about Unity Village Chapel, which I believe historically was previously part of the first Unity at large. It was a department. And so I'm curious if that is playing into the conversation at all.
It has not been itemized specifically, nor has any particular aspect of what takes place on campus. Unity Online Radio, even Silent Unity. We have not gotten to that level of specificity, but I'm sure it will be considered as we move into what do we want to create. And as Unity Village Chapel is a member of Unity Worldwide Ministries, however we create the membership's aspect of this new organization, they will certainly be a part of that, uniquely located here. So let's close with this. I'm going to share this with you. I affirm, here we stand on the precipice of a great spiritual redesign. We give thanks that our steps are ordered as we take on the yoke of responsibility to be agents of change, knowing our coming together at this time is divinely ordained. The Spirit of Truth blesses and consecrates the array of spiritual gifts we have at our disposal to share, and moves us beyond the boundaries of comfort and conformity into the realm of divine intelligence and divine synchronicity. With sacred intention, we gently but confidently enter the portal of possibility that exists in the gap between stillness and silence. New avenues are clearly revealed. Previously closed gateways swiftly open up, and we are ushered forward along a positive path we had never before imagined. In a spirit of conscientious, collaborative creativity, we make room for God to be expressed in our decision-making process without posturing for position or attachment to personal agendas. As one unified, powerful force for good, we gently but confidently step into the void where God and good is present. Entering this portal of possibility, we discover we are actually stepping onto a solid platform, one of faith and bold daring that is the foundation of the new organization we are being called together to create. And so it is. Amen.